Lord, yes, papi, hit me one time and make it funky.
I was brought up and told to have no bed. I was brought up and told to have no bed.
Welcome to the Full Circle Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, David Roberts, along with the OG, Dr. Neil Holmes. Missing today is the oral historian, Andre Taylor. Today, we have a very special guest in the building. You know, I sound like I'm from the Breakfast Club. Special guest in the building. Two-time heavyweight champion, boxer, Mr. Tim Witherspoon. Terrible Tim, welcome, brother.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Hey, thanks for joining us, man. And I know, you know, a lot of people gonna want to hear about your career. I figured what we'll talk about is your success in boxing, what you're doing now, some projects that you're working on. There was a recent Muhammad Ali documentary on PBS that I enjoyed. Want to touch on that, you know, and some of the things that maybe, you know, they didn't touch on, you know, because I know you worked as a sparring partner for Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your career. And Tim, when we talked before this podcast, you didn't quite remember when you did the interview with me with Boxing Beat magazine in Philly, you know, and I can tell you still don't remember. I didn't have the gray hair back then.
Okay.
So I'm going to send you a copy of the magazine because we did an interview and you and I took a picture together that was on the front inset of the magazine. So I'm going to send that to you.
Okay.
You know, after this. So let's talk about your career. How did you get started in boxing in Philly, which is a city of fighters?
Yeah, no. Philly is a boxing city where a lot of street fights. And during my time, all in the streets, I wasn't involved in none. I maybe had fights with some of my friends, but I really didn't. I was really kind of scared to go fight, you know. But if I get in one, I'll rumble. But I grew up in South Philly, not too far from the Italian Market, where Sylvester Stallone made the movie, did the shooting with the Italian Market.
Right, where he was running. And anybody that knows Philly knows that route he took was damn near impossible. He was in the South Street, you know, Market. Then he was out on the Parkway, and I mean, it was just crazy. But
where the steps. But I was not too far from the Italian Market, where a lot of blacks would go shop on the weekend and stuff. They had all kind of vegetables and a lot of food that wasn't really expensive, you know. So a lot of blacks from my neighborhood, where Matthew Saab Muhammad neighborhood, from the Tyrone Everett, the boxer from up 20th Street, like they all went to that market and bought food and everything. But I was a football player in baseball and basketball when I first started. You know, I was the football, and a lot of my friends and my brother Anthony, he was a all-state split end. I was an all-Philadelphia tight end, and we played football, baseball. Never thought about boxing, but I had uncles that would body box in the street. Had a whole bunch of big uncles and stuff, and they fought, but I never thought of it. And people in the neighborhood was like, when I started boxing, people was like, Timmy fighting? Because I wasn't like going out bullying people, going out there trying to fight and stuff. I had fights with my peers though, but people, when I started boxing, people was like, Timmy boxing, you know, like, okay, let's see what it's like. But a lot of people knew I wasn't like in the street knocking dudes out and all that, you know. So people was like kind of curious. So I went to the gym, South Philly, the old Passion gym, where right where the Italian Market is, with Sylvester Stallone, right in there, and I started training, and I just went in there not thinking I could make millions or I could be heavyweight champ. I just wanted to do some activity and box. And that led into it.
How old were you when you first started that?
I think I was 20, 19, the end of 20. I was 19, I got hurt. I was a tight end, I caught a ball. I was in Lincoln University, Missouri. I caught a ball. I split two tailbacks. They couldn't hold me. And a big linebacker just speared me in the back because we watched the video. We watched the video of the whole team, of everything of the game. And that particular shot, I seen it when he spared me, and that's what ended a lot of things. And I came home, and it was a 4-year scholarship paid for.
Wow.
I didn't have no mentors to tell me to get the education at least.
Okay.
You know, stay there and get the education. So my friend, he was all state, Keith Davis, he passed away about 5 months ago. He was there with me. He got the scholarship. He was starting trouble, and these guys from Chicago was coming to get us. I wasn't because he was fighting this other guy. And that's how we wound up deciding to come home. They sent us tickets, and we barely made it because they were on their way to get us. So we went home. Buster Drayton, he was a junior middleweight champ from my neighborhood. Kenny Reese, my brother Anthony, but Anthony wasn't boxing. There was several people boxing, and and I said, hey, we might as well try it. Keith, me and Keith and my brother, we went to the Passion Gym, and that's where it all started.
All right. So how many amateur fights did you have before you turned pro?
I had 7 amateur fights. I lost 2 and won 5. But my very first fight, they put me in with a 5-time Golden Glove champ.
Wow.
I was just started to learn. They put me in with a 5-time Golden Glove champ, a Spanish dude. And my mouth was bloody after the fight. I lost the fight. And I was with a trainer that he really wasn't a good trainer, but a lot of young people don't know who's good when they first go into those gyms unless somebody tell them. So me and Keith just went in. No, me and Keith was waiting for this number writer named Bishop, Old Man Bishop. He said, man, I can get you somebody, but Old Man Bishop never showed up. So we decided to Buster Drayton talked us into going to this gym without talking to Bishop. And Bishop was from the neighborhood. So we just went into the gym, and that's where it all started. The Old Passion Gym.
Now, how'd you turn pro? How'd you go from having 7 amateur fights to turning pro?
Okay, I did really well. In the amateurs. I did really well. I fought Marvis Frazier in my last fight and like a championship fight. But I started to say, when I fought that Spanish kid, I fought the Spanish kid and I was bloodied up. I lost, my mouth was bloody. And I was like, not dizzy, but I was like kind of shook up a little bit. I was like, man, this can't be the rest of my life. I forgot to tell you that part.
Okay.
I was like saying, whoa, but I still was gonna go forward. I was like, this is kind of rough. I didn't know that the trainer, Clarence Booker, really didn't know that much.
Right.
He'd been around, but he couldn't, all he taught was this, jab, this. He didn't teach the slip, bam, defense like that. He didn't teach that. And so later on, I found out, about boxing, about you need a good trainer, you need good business people behind you, and that's what'll help. So, but I didn't know, okay. and so I fought these fights. After the first fight, I said, okay. Then I won 4 more, and then I fought Marvis Frazier, Joe Frazier's son, for like the Golden Gloves. It was the Golden Gloves. I lost the decision, close decision, and it was the business part that made me go professional, because I really was going to go amateur. I want to go to the Olympics, and then I was talked into turning pro. I was talked into turning pro. So there's a lot of young people need mentors to help them decide whether to stay amateur or go pro. But in my situation, I got talked into going pro.
Now, who talked you into going pro? Several people.
It was, well, the Old Man Booker was gonna, this is a good story.
All right.
Old Man Booker, I was still with him. Old Man Booker, this is what happened. Larry Holmes heard about me in Philly, doing real good, sparring pros and doing real good. So he sent people to try to hire me to be his sparring partner. Yeah, so I didn't know this. They told my trainer. My trainer never told me. He was an old guy, Old Man Booker. So I'm like in the gym training and stuff. And somebody told me, he said, Tim, how come you didn't take that job that Larry was offering you to be a sparring partner? He's gonna pay you like $1,500 a week or whatever. And I said, what? He said, yeah, they told your trainer. And I was like, I was disappointed, man. And so I was sparring with Matthew Saad Muhammad at the time. I was sparring with him. So he went up to the camp and I went with him, sparring with him. I left my trainer because he didn't give me the opportunity to witness this education that I was going to get, or be. He knew that I was going to find out that he wasn't a good trainer. After down the line, I was like, wow, he knew that I was going to find out that he wasn't that good, he wasn't capable, and I was going to meet people that was way better than him, and I was wasting my time. So I went to Ali's camp with Saad Muhammad. I think he was fighting the English guy, John Conte. And then one day Ali came up at the camp. Now you could ask me some questions, but Ali drove up while we were sparring and everything stopped.
Was this a Deer Lake?
This was at Deer Lake. And I was sparring with Matthew Saad Muhammad. He was getting ready for light heavyweight, defending his title, or he was fighting for the title. I think he was fighting John Conte. And Ali just pulled up.
Okay.
Everything stopped.
Now, this is something I didn't know. Other fighters trained at Deer Lake for their fights as well. Like, I thought Ali just only trained there. He allowed other people to train there.
Well, Saad Muhammad was a Muslim, and he also I think he would let in other people too, but I was a sparring partner for Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, and he let Eddie come there too.
Okay.
I was sparring with Saad Muhammad at the time because he's from 10 minutes away. He was born and raised 10 minutes from where I was.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was going over, me and my brother Anthony would go over to their gym and spar with them, then come back and stuff like that. So they hired me, Saad Muhammad hired me, and that's how I met Ali. We was up to camp training.
Tell me about that first time meeting Ali up at Deer Lake. How'd that go? How was that?
Whoa, I'm seeing him on television. I'm hearing about him. Everybody was talking about he was the man. And then he pulls up, everything stopped. Everything stopped in the gym, and everything stopped. And he said, yo, continue on. So I was sparring with Saad, and we was getting it on. And then after the training session, he would say, no, I want to hire you as my sparring partner, and talk to Gene Kilroy and stuff like that. But he was talking to us. I was like crazy, like, whoa, Ali. And yeah. And so I gave them my number, and then they called me. And then when I left there, Saad Muhammad fought John Conte. He knocked him out. And then I got a phone call to say to come up to the camp.
Okay.
To train with Muhammad Ali.
Now, you got to tell us, what was that like, training with Muhammad Ali?
Greatest of all times. The greatest of all times. Listen, man, I just came from the neighborhood. I was watching him on television, fighting Joe Frazier and other big guys, George Foreman. Now I'm sitting in the same room with the greatest of all times. But he made us feel comfortable. I was like, whoa, he's in there. And he's like, everything is cool. He act just like we doing.
Right.
He was a natural person, and I was like, this is cool. He would listen to you. I don't care who you was, big or small, he would listen to you. Bum in the street. I was like, okay. And he would listen to you. And so, I'm saying, wow, I'm with the greatest of all times. I'm going to do real good. He was sick for that fight. And I'll tell you about that, yeah.
All right, so I was going to say that. Let's put this in context. What year was this when you first started sparring with Muhammad Ali, training?
That had to be in 1980.
So he was way past his prime. He
was fighting Larry Holmes. So he was kind of, but he was sick, and I'll tell you what happened.
Oh, go ahead. Proceed with that.
Wait. Okay. So we in the camp. We training. I'm getting to know everybody. A lot of people from Newark, New Jersey come down. A lot of brothers from New York. All the Muslim brothers, they came. They was coming supporting Ali. It was a beautiful thing to see everybody there, getting along and trying to motivate Ali to for the fight and everything. So I was sparring with him. I was sparring with Ali. We come in and I spar with him, and I never seen him progress. Okay, and I'm sparring with him. I'm thinking he's going to teach me something. Okay, I'm getting a young heavyweight coming in. You know, I'm waiting for him to do something to me, and it never happened. You know, bang, we banging. I'm banging on him. I would only hit him in his stomach because I noticed something was wrong. Okay, I got a good trainer, really good trainer. He died, Slim Robinson, Slim Jim, taught me everything I know, right? And so I would go back to the corner and say, when we sparred, I would go back to the corner and say, Slim, something wrong. When is he going to, whip on me? And when is he going to do something? Because he didn't show no progress. So I was hitting him in his head easy. I was hitting him with good shots. And then I said, something wrong with him. Then I started to hit him in his body. I started hitting him in the body. I wouldn't hit him in the head. And if I hit him in his head, I would open my hand like this and go like that. And I wouldn't hit him directly on his head. So I would go back to Slim and say, Slim, something wrong. It's easy to hit him. And so I'm gonna go to his body. I'm not going to his head. And I said, I'm gonna disguise my punches. And this was in the camp before he fought Larry Holmes. He was sick. So this went on and on. Every time I got in there, I never seen no progress. He was sick before he fought Larry Holmes. And a lot of people, I got a story to tell you. When I went to Vegas, I caught them fighting and arguing about Ali fighting and not fighting. They was in this room and I walked by because I'm a young guy. I'm jumping fast. Okay.
That's fine.
So I sparred with him. And then we breaking on everything. Camp is breaking down, and we ready to go to Vegas. Ali said he's gonna give me 10 grand, and his work, and he did give me the 10 grand. This was like months before he fought. He said, I'm gonna give you 10 grand, 10 for the fight, and he did give me the 10. But when we broke camp, I wasn't worried because I was young, and I didn't understand a lot of things that was going on. I was just there sparring. And so when we got to Vegas, that was the highlight. Everything was there, like everybody, all the stars, we was there a couple of weeks before the fight. So, me, a young guy, I'm just coming in and just learning stuff. It was, to me, I wanted to go home. As soon as the stuff was over, all this hoopla, everything going this way and that way. So I was in a Dunes hotel, and Ali and Holmes was in the Caesar's Palace. Ali had one floor and Larry Holmes had a floor. So we went on Ali's floor because I was going to go get my ticket. I wanted to go right home. I said, man, I don't want to be around all this stuff all the time. I want to go home and see my girlfriend and see my friends and stuff. And I, for some reason, I was interested in the fight, but I wanted to get home. So I went over to the hotel. I went over to the Caesars. I went to the 11th floor. It was either 11th or the 14th. So I started walking down the hall, and I heard some noise. I heard arguing. And I started walking. I thought somebody was fighting. So Howard Bingham's room is like 4 rooms down past Ali's. So I heard all this arguing. And so I came up to the room, and then I stood there and looked in there. It was Dundee, my trainer Slim. It was all Ali people, Boudini Brown, Gene Kilroy. They was all in there arguing about whether he should fight or not fight. And I said, whoa, am I hearing that Ali might not fight? And my trainer was in there. My trainer being everything. He was a former detective, police, whatever, Slim Robinson. So I stood there and they was arguing. Oh, he shouldn't fight. He's sick. He says Slim was saying that, and Dundee was saying, I don't think he should fight. And then there was other guys, they were saying, no, he could fight. And they was going back and forth. And Ali was sitting right on the bed. A lot of people don't know this. I tell the story, but a lot of people don't know. So Ali's sitting on the bed, everybody arguing about whether he should fight or not. So then I said, oh, let me go get my tickets. So I walked down and knocked on Bingham's door. And his wife answered the door, Howard Bingham. She answered the door, and they was wore out. They was tired. I think everybody was tired. There was so much things going on. And I said, is Howard in there? I want to get my ticket and go home. Because I want to just go home after the fight and stuff. And she was like frustrated and got kind of funny with me. And I was like, I'm just trying to go home. Can you get Howard so I can get my ticket? And so she said, She said, well, he's tired. So he came to the door. He said, Tim, I'll take care of it later. I'll take care of it. He said, just bear with me. There's a lot of stuff going on. So I said, okay. So I walked down the hallway and knocked on Abdul Rahman, who was his security. And I said, Abdul, can you go down there and talk to them, man? His wife got smart with me. And he said, look, Tim, I'll take care of it. And he did. But on the way back, they were still arguing whether he should fight or not. And I was like, whoa, I stood there about another 3 to 5 minutes. I was like, whoa, Ali might not fight. And so I went back over to Caesars and I was telling the sparring partners, I said, no, the fight might not go off. Right. I said, they're over there fighting about Ali fighting, he should fight and this and that. So when my trainer came over and I talked to him, he said, Tim, he said, Ali's sick, man. I don't think he should fight. I talked to my trainer. He said, but all those other guys, they want the money and they want him to fight. This, not that many people knew this. I witnessed it. Right. And I told everybody, and they thought the fight wasn't going to go off. So when the first bell rung, you could tell the first 10 seconds he wasn't going to win. So, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's his true story. Came from, I witnessed it. Mm-hmm. And when the bell rung, he wasn't, after like about 30 seconds, he wasn't going to win that fight.
So do you think that's what the fact that he was sick before that, is that what led him to actually try to fight one more time? Because most people would look at that fight and be like, why would he fight again? But that was just probably something that he grabbed onto. Oh, I was sick before this Holmes fight and I still have something left.
He fought Trevor Berbick after, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know. That could be that he was sick. Now he's not sick. Let me do it. Let me try it again. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe somebody talked him into doing it. Maybe thinking he can get money. I don't really know about that one. But I think he should have retired before the Larry Holmes fight. Mm-hmm. They said he had thyroid problems. He was on medicine. During the time he was sparring, he was on medicine and everything. Mm-hmm. So I think Larry Holmes got robbed out of really beating the real Muhammad Ali.
Well, I want to talk about, when you talk about robbed, I'm going to talk about you and Larry Holmes a little later. But
I seen him 2 days ago.
Oh, really? Where'd you see him?
I was up. We had an autograph signed, and me, him, and Ray, him and Ray Mercer was up in the mountains, up in Pennsylvania. We had an autograph signing. I forgot the name of the place, but we drove up there. Me and my daughter, Shania. I got 5 daughters, and Shania, she's from Tottenham, England, but she lives with me in America. And I take her everywhere with me. I don't want nothing to happen to her, none of my kids. So we went up there and we signed the autographs. We got paid. We took pictures. And this is what I did. I apologized to Larry Holmes. Look, Larry Holmes couldn't even walk, like his back was hurting and stuff. And I told him all he got to do is get a tube and roll on it in your back. I'll tell you about that later. But we were in there and we were signing autographs. And everybody was talking back and forth. Ray was talking. And then I said, you know what? Let me get up and apologize to Larry. And the only reason why I did this is because he did treat me real bad when I fought him. Larry treated me real bad. I didn't have money. He said he's gonna knock me out because I'm broke. He started treating me like I was like, and that's what motivated me. He started treating me like I was a bum. And like I didn't have no money. He's gonna knock me out and take my girl from me. He knew I didn't have no money, thinking that was gonna make me get scared, and it didn't. That made me even more mad. Yeah. So for all these years, we've been going back and forth with words and different things through friends and stuff. And I said, you know what? I'm tired of this. Right. I met him before that, but it really wasn't a good how you doing and all that. So I'm at this autograph signing. This was only 4 days ago. And I'm said, you know what? I told my daughter, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go apologize to him. But he never apologized back. So I got up and I went over to him. I said, look, Larry, his wife was sitting next to him. And I said, look, Larry, I apologize, man, for all the stuff we went through in the past, words going back and forth, me not coming to none of your events and stuff like that. And I said, look, man, you're a great champion. And I was young and I was like a tiger, and I wasn't gonna let nobody beat me. And that was one of the reasons why I had to stand my ground But all the other extra stuff, I didn't really disrespect him or anything. But I apologized to him, and everybody in the room was like saying, wow, that was cool. And I said, wow, I did the right thing. So I apologized to him, but he didn't say, yeah, I'm sorry too.
What was his response?
He said, I think he said, Shania, what did Larry say? She said, that's my secretary. He said that you don't have to apologize. Everything is cool. And I shook his hands and he said, okay. He said, okay, then you can, when we have these events, because I canceled some of his events they invited me to because, he did talk down to me really bad. So I didn't want to be around. And so I said, okay. I said, okay, then. All right. So you got some events, I'll come. But everybody else pay. He don't pay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody else pay. So he don't pay. So that's what happened.
Hey, well, let me bring Doc in for a minute because we were talking about Muhammad Ali. And see, I was born in 69. So I remember Ali from the 70s and the things that happened before I've just read about. So Doc, since we were talking about Muhammad Ali, what did Muhammad Ali mean to the brothers of your generation that were older, that were already around and that were, as they say today, woke in the 60s when he, refused induction into Vietnam and things of that nature and took that stand?
Well, it was and not just the Vietnam thing, but when he, that was big too, but also when he first changed his name, when Elijah Muhammad gave him that name, Muhammad Ali from Cassius Clay, and the media used to always try to call him Cassius Clay. The white media, they would try to say, "You Cassius Clay, you Cassius Clay," and even some of the fighters like Floyd Patterson,
right,
call him Cassius Clay.
Ernie Terrell,
and we were going through a identity transformation.
Right.
Our generation, we were going from Negro and colored to Black, and people were changing their names. Some people were becoming Muslim. Some people were taking African names, or moving in that direction. And so when he stood up and said, "Hey, this is what my name is, and you're gonna have to call me by my name," that identity thing was real important. Right. And he was a minister for a time. I think he got I think he had to step down for some reasons, but he was a minister in the Nation of Islam for quite a while. And so that and plus the fact that he was international. Right. So he was recognized around the world, not just as a champion, a heavyweight champion, but he was recognized as a kind of like a spokesperson for our people. So that's what it meant to me, or to me as a member of that generation. And young people were beginning to say, even before Muhammad Ali, young people were starting to say, "Hell no, we won't go."
Right.
And see, that was a big thing because I grew up in the country. Mm-hmm. And when I grew up, everybody went to the army. Mm-hmm. You graduated from high school, you go to the army, you come back with your dress uniform on, and everybody, you go out to the to the little joints, and women love you and everything. Right. And you would think about what branch of the service based on what their dress uniform looked like. Because the Marines had a real sharp uniform, so some people want to be a Marine and all of that. And I had wanted to go into the Navy because my daddy was in the Navy, but I didn't like that. I didn't like the uniform. But that whole thing was twisting when people were getting. He said that no Vietnamese ever called me a nigger. Right. And that kind of summed that whole period up. So it was a transformational thing.
And what's interesting, we all have Philly roots to some degree. Tim, born and raised in Philly. I lived in Philly 13 years. You taught at Cheney University. And there's one high school in Philly, Edison High School. Right now, or at least when I was in Philly, you had a largely Hispanic population. I don't know what the population was at the time of the Vietnam War, but Edison High School, as I understand it, lost the most people. That they have the most people that died in the Vietnam War. Tim, had you ever heard that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
no, I didn't.
Edison, they said Edison High School, of any high school in the nation, because at that time, I guess more of their students were just, that were graduating at the time the Vietnam War was going on, went right into the war and died. But, moving from that, Tim, I wanted to touch on something else you talked about. You talked about Larry Holmes. And again, I'm glad y'all talked and resolved whatever differences you had, but going back to that fight you had with Larry Holmes, which I think is the fight that kind of cemented your legacy in boxing. I, along with a lot of people, thought you won that fight. He got it by split decision. And I think, because he had that name, that big name, I think that's what did it. What did you think about that fight? Did you think you won that fight?
Yeah, I did. But before the fight, I knew that because nobody knew me, I was up and coming. And Larry Holmes is trying to reach Rocky Marciano's record. And I knew that I would have to knock him out or beat him up convincingly. So what made me push even more is because I wanted my family and friends back home to be proud of me, especially Philly. Right. And like y'all, what you were talking about back in the last, like the last words you were saying, like the Muslim brothers was coming into our neighborhoods, waking us up. It was people like Ali and Elijah Muhammad and Jeremiah Shabazz and Farrakhan, and we were eating pork. And I just want to just do this real quick.
No problem.
We were eating pork, we were killing and shooting, and a lot of that stopped when they started spreading the word. They started spreading the word. So a lot of people in my neighborhood transferred over. They didn't want to eat pork. A lot of them didn't go in the direction Elijah Muhammad go to the mosque, but a lot of them did, and a lot of them didn't. But they still took heed to the pork and to better ourselves. And they did something really good. They did really good for Black people everywhere.
Right.
We have to respect that. But in terms of fighting Larry Holmes, when Don King offered me that fight, I told my trainer Slim was a good trainer. Slim was slick. Slim Robinson. I said, Slim, we was in Don King's camp. And he said, I said, Slim, that might be a little bit too soon. What you think? And he said, Tim, you're gonna kick his ass. And I said, he said, Tim, believe me, just get in shape, we're gonna win. And I said, okay, that's all he had to tell me.
Right.
That's all he had to tell me. We started training, I started chopping wood. I started, Slim was smart. He taught me skills. We went and hired, I think, three heavyweights that had good jabs. We know Larry Holmes had a good jab, and we practiced blocking jabs for 2 months. And when I got into the ring, his jab was nothing to me. And that's what a lot of these young boxers today, they don't got the old school stuff that was taught to guys like me. And I know all the things these guys like Joshua and all of them had to do, but we practiced 2 months and a half, 2 months, just blocking good jabs. And it got so convincing that I could do it. When I was in the fight, I was just ignoring it sometimes. I was blocking it, but it was just sliding off. I was slipping, and I was blocking and stuff like that. And I wasn't scared of them. Right. Okay, I had to represent from where I came from, Philly, where a lot of good boxers are from. Joe Frazier, they moved there. Ali moved there. Then you had a lot of other good boxers, and Philly was known, so I had to represent. So when he started trying to scare me, I said, "Nah, I'm not going out like that." Right. So I had to live up to where I came from. not because it was gangs and all that. It's because you had good basketball players, you had good people, you had good actors, you had a lot of good things going on there. And that's what really pushed me, because I knew I came from a good background where you know where I came from, Philly,
Right.
South Philly. People were supporting me, and I just wanted to do good. I just wanted to do good. And he talked. The worst thing to do is try to, talk bad to somebody from where I come from, or a lot of other cities too.
Right.
A lot of them say, "Come on, you gonna talk, man? I'm not gonna back up."
Right.
So that's what gave me that, and I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to lose to him. He should have never tried to. He should never try to like scare me.
Right.
That backfired.
Now, although you didn't get the decision,
Yeah.
I'm sure that fight, you putting on a good show, changed your life for the, after that. How did things change after that Larry Holmes fight?
Everybody, like, it was beautiful. I didn't win the fight technically, but a lot of people said they thought I won. And I was like, man, 15 fights. I did a good job.
Right.
I said, whoa, I did a good job. He didn't knock me out. I backed him up. He didn't hurt me. He didn't hurt me anything. And the people from the neighborhood and other people everywhere was like, Tim did a good job. And that was the stepping stone that woke people up and said, oh, there's a new young guy out there. And his name is Tim Witherspoon. Yep.
All right. So fast forward to you actually winning the title yourself, your first title reign. Because as I mentioned when we started, you're a two-time heavyweight champion.
Yes.
All right. So talk about that, how that came about.
Well, we can talk about the situation with Don, because we could talk a little bit about it. And people know not right now that he told people, a lot of people don't know that I'm going to, okay, the question was, you
wanted to talk, you could talk, I wanted to talk about the first time you won the title.
Okay.
But if you want to talk about,
No, we're going the first time, but this is going to lead into that.
Okay.
This is going to lead into that.
The story better than me.
Yeah, Don King did some things to boxers. And so I was representing this Irish boxer, and they flew me to Vegas, or I think it was California, it was Vegas, to be in the boxer's corner. Okay. The Irish boxer fought this black boxer, and he lost, but I was there representing the boxer because of boxing, because things are wrong. They was getting treated wrong. And after the fight, I saw Don King walking in my direction, and then he kept walking straight towards me. So I was getting kind of like, not physical, because I knew Don liked me when we in the room by ourselves talking business. I knew, but he got to show himself when other people come, because he knew I was no bad guy. So he came, he got closer, he was coming directly towards me. So I know it was some kind of confrontation. He said he loved me.
Okay.
He came over to me, gave me a hug, said he loved me, and then I hesitated. I was like, oh, I love you too, Don. Okay. And he said, all right, Tim, I'll see you later. And I was like, I just said, I love you to Don. And he said he loved me. I said, wow, man, that was cool. It wasn't negative.
Right.
I can go on with my life now. I can enjoy my kids. I don't got to talk about Don King anymore.
Okay.
We didn't get no help from nobody.
Oh, so this was recently. I thought you.
No, this was about, I would say 6 years ago.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, 6 years ago. So I can go on with my life. I'm like, I don't want to talk about him anyway. He gonna live with something that's following him.
Right.
I'm gonna still be cool with him.
Right.
Okay, I messed up. There's a lot of money I could have made, but I'm still living.
Right.
I got beautiful kids. I'm healthy. I don't want to do it no more. And that's why I stopped making the videos about Don King. I'm tired of it.
Right.
He punched me in the face. I punched him back. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life arguing about Don King. Ain't nobody going to help us. There's different nationalities that was wealthy, and they didn't do nothing about it. They just let them do what he was doing and knew it was wrong as long as he was doing it against black people.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You play football, and you box, and what's the difference in these two sports? I mean, what does it feel like to be in that ring, and you got that crowd going, and you got how does that feel? All that energy in that ring, and what did it feel like when you got that belt, and they gave you that belt?
But the thing is with that was I really don't know what it is, how it really feels to be a heavyweight champion of the world, because the business part was messed up. I would like to know how Tyson felt, how a lot of those guys felt that made 5 and 10 million. When I fought Larry Holmes, I went home with like 56,000. When Jerry Cooney fought him, he went home with 12 million. When I fought Frank Bruno went home with 1.4 million, and I went home with 95,000, and I knocked him out in his country. So I don't know what it feels like. I did get the belt. A lot of people was behind me. There was something missing, and that was the business part. So I can't tell you how because I know a lot of those guys was happy. When I won the belt, I was sad because I knew I wasn't going to get the money. I knew that, and then there's something I had to fight somebody knowing that I'm gonna get ripped off. That to me, I just had to deal with it. I never really reached that feeling, getting that feeling, because there's business that goes along with your profession. And if that's not right, I knew, when I fought Bruno, I thought I was going to get like 3 million. And I didn't even know what I was getting when I went over there. Wow. I didn't know. That's how bad it was. And I knew, look, I'm talking about him. I love Don. I mean, it's over, but I should be able to say to you guys some of the things that happened. I didn't even know how much money I was getting when I flew to England. I'm on an airplane flying, thinking, hey man, if you give me $1.5 million, I'll be satisfied. What kind of thing is that to think for a heavyweight a champ of the world? I'm going to defend my title, 65,000 people in the stadium, all the people around the world are buying this thing, and there's a lot of money involved. I knocked this guy out he's a nice guy. And Frank Bruno was a really nice guy. I'm really friends with him, and knocked him out in the 11th round with all these people throwing stuff, screaming at us. And I go home with like 65,000. I got 200. They gave Carl King half. Of that. And then after I paid everybody, I went home with about, I would say 70,000. And I thought I was going to, you know what I said? Man, if he give me 800,000, this is what I was thinking in my head. If he give me 800,000, I won't be upset. That is bad to be thinking like that. Yeah. So I didn't even know what I was getting. I'm not stupid, but I had to play the game. I had to continue on fighting. I had to take care of my family. I wasn't stupid, but he had everything sold up. And I don't have no problem with him now. I think he should come back and live me. The boxing is not really in a good state. I think if Don come back with his hair like that and talk like that, I think he can help the industry out. And here was some people telling me, man, you shouldn't be this and that. I said, nah, he was the greatest promoter. Even though he did what he did, he was the greatest promoter in history. He had the color. He knew how to say things. He knew how to make people laugh. Okay? Did I like what happened? No, but you got to give credit when it was due. He was the best. And I think he was the best ripoff too. But if he come back and apologize, which he's not going to do, I do think that he can go down in history as the greatest promoter that ever lived. He got it. There's other promoters that treated me good. Dennis Rappaport, he had Coonies, Rappaport and Jones. Oh man, $40,000 bonus, $100,000 bonus. I was getting paid. I said, whoa, is this what it's really like?
Right.
He gave me 40 grand. I said, no, well, put that towards a brand new car for my kid's mom. That's what I did. I said, no, I got money. Just get my kid's mother a car. And he did. And then the next time I got another bonus. Then Dennis was always concerned. He was with Cooney.
Yes. Yeah.
He was always saying, he was always looking out. You need money? You need this? You need that? I send bodyguards to your training to make sure that you don't. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know how to act. So here it is. It is a Jewish promoter that was treating me like a king. If I needed money, it was there. I got bonuses. 190,000, 40,000 for doing good. And you know what I did wrong?
What's that?
I was abused. I was abused from leaving Don. And some of the fights I didn't train with Dennis. I heard people saying that Dennis they would never let him get the big fights or something like that. Dennis burned his time. He blew his chance or something like that. You'll never get a shot. People were telling me that. And I was like, whoa, what they doing that for? But Dennis treated me real good. Mark Stewart was my first promoter, manager. He treated me good. So I was happy at certain times, but then with Don King, I just couldn't. Now I see, I guess, I don't know. We won't know until he open up and talk about it. But he treated, and if you didn't fight, he treated you like crap. Say like you got in there and punked out and got beat up, he treated you like you was crap. So, but you got to give him credit that he was the colorful, to say the right words, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Indubitably.
So I wish he'd come back and at least talk about some of that stuff. He don't know how great it'll make him, I think. People know him as being a crook and this and that, but he can go down in history, I think, as the best if he come back and talk to people. Because I don't think there's other promoters that's colorful like him and do the way he do. But they do treat financially and stuff. They treat their boxers really good.
Now let's talk about in the few minutes we have left, Tim. Let's talk about what you're doing now, because for everybody there's life after boxing. So what type of projects do you have? Well, let me ask you one question: Is your son Tim Jr. still boxing? I remember he was boxing.
No, he got hurt. He got hurt, and he was training real quick. He was training on his injury. I think it was his left leg. And so now he couldn't run really that much anymore at that time. He could run now, but he injured his knee. So he was like 12 wins and 3 losses.
Okay.
And 3 losses. So he injured his leg and damaged it even more. So that's when he just said, I got to retire.
Okay.
So he has a gym. He has a gym right outside of Philly in the Bristol area. And he's doing pretty good. Training kids, there's women classes, men classes, there's all kind of yoga. He's doing pretty good. I go over there. I just came from there running. I ran 30 minutes on the treadmill.
Yeah. All right. Now, what about your cousin, Chaz Witherspoon? He was doing pretty well. Had some fights on HBO. What's he doing now?
Okay. We really don't keep in touch, but let me say this to you. In the very beginning, when he started boxing, I was supposed to work with him. I was supposed to be like train him. As a matter of fact, before he started, I was training him, but I was still fighting.
Right.
So I told him I'm gonna try to speed everything up. I told him, look, I only got 2 more fights left, and I'll be ready as soon as I'm finished. Because I was fighting just to pay the bills near the end. I was just fighting to pay the bills. So when I retired, and then I called him up, I didn't talk to him for like 10 days. And he already got 2 other guys, the Hinton brothers, to train him. And I think that me and him would have went, we could have did a lot more better. And no disrespect to the Hinton brothers down in Philly, but me and him would have did 100% better than those brothers. Because when I was going to England, everybody, what is up with Charles? It's Chaz. What's up with Chaz and stuff like that? And I was like, hey man, you got to talk to him about it. But
Right.
me and him together, we could have went a long way.
Now let's talk about your projects. What do you have going on now? I think you got a podcast coming up and some other things.
Well, every Friday night we it's what is it? Talk sports. Every Friday night at 7:00. We talk about unions. We talk about building the sport back up. We try to get. It's not my podcast, but I became a part of it because I know what they're trying to do. So what I'm into is having something for boxers when their career is over.
Okay.
When their career is over, there's nothing for us. There's nothing where you're on your own. So so this guy Paul Johnson, if you want to bring him on the podcast, just let me know. We set it up. He was a former boxer. He was in the Army. His heart is in it. We need former boxers to get together. So we the only sport that don't have a union, don't have support, but we making a lot of money.
Right.
So then I found out there's a lot of people, a lot of boxers, they down with it. They want to do it, but we got to get Floyd Mayweather, all these guys with monies to agree with us. To try to, I would be the first one. If I had Floyd Mayweather money, I swear I would have put up 20 million. 20, he got almost $1 billion or something.
Right.
Just to do it. That's the sport that we love and everything. And so he could get his money back in 20 years. Just put the money up, you know. So all those guys making money, they're going to keep going in their directions, not knowing that our sport is dying. And if they just give us a little bit of time, they can help save it. But it's really odd that, you know, you see these boxers fighting like Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. He's fighting like this with Tyson Fury. I did color commentating down in Vegas. Talk Sports in England, you know, they hired me, and I went down and I did radio commentating. And when the bell rung, it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
The way Dante held his hands and the way he throwing his punches and stuff like that, I didn't enjoy it. I told him it was like a Rocky Balboa, Rocky and Creed fight.
Yeah.
And the people enjoyed it. The setting was beautiful, but professional box like me, I was like, they get paid big, man. And neither one of them should have went down. If they both of them need trainers, because both of them went down on the ground.
People enjoyed it because they were both very flawed. And when you have somebody like a Floyd Mayweather or a Roy Jones or Bernard Hopkins that have all these skills, people sometimes will say, oh, those guys are boring, but maybe they're boring because they don't create a lot of drama because they're so skilled at what they do. Deontay Wilder, I said that when I saw it, it was enjoyable, but it was enjoyable because they were flawed. Just like when Gaddy and Ward fought, you know, it was enjoyable because both of those guys were flawed, you know, very flawed. So you're trying to start a boxing union now?
Well, you know, there's a lot of people that wanted, a lot of former boxers and a lot of people that would love to see it. Paul Johnson and several other people, there's a lot of little groups that want to get together, but they're taking their time about coming together. And Paul Johnson is trying to put together some type of place where we all can meet and maybe go to Congress, but we can meet together and get our information and go to Congress and see if we can get some type of union started. So this been going on for a while, but people were saying, man, it ain't gonna happen. Come on, man, let's get this thing done. But what we need is those guys making that money to get involved. The guys that's highlighted, Wilder, Tyson Fury. Oh, England is double bad. England, you know, my daughter, she's from there. I spent a lot of time in England over there. I got a grandson over there, and I was doing a lot of work. I was hanging out with Tyson Fury. I was hanging out with Anthony Joshua. I was over there, man. So 5 months at a time. So I was going over there. I was in Spain 5 times. I was in Ireland. Yeah, so I know them guys. They way behind us when it comes to contracts and stuff.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They are way behind us.
Gotcha.
So we need to start with America and try. Okay, Paul Johnson is the head of the Boxing Organized Committee, the BOC, and we talk all the time. If you want us to get on the podcast, we'll do it.
Okay, cool.
But there's a podcast. Even you, Doctor, you can get on it Friday night. This if you have time. There's 2 guys from Canada. They're the head guys of it, and we get on, and they got people that come on and asking questions sometimes. And we really have a really fruitful conversation and talking about,
How can the people listening to us, how can they find that Friday night podcast that you do?
Wow, we got to get on it. I have to give you the link.
All right, shoot me the link, and what I'll do, I'll put it in the information of this because we'll record this and post this. So I'll make sure that people have an opportunity that want to see what you're continuing to do, because it is true. And it's not just boxing. You see it in the NBA, like they say, and they have unions and everything. And within 5 years of retirement, 60% of NBA players are in financial distress. It's in the NFL, within 3 years of retirement, I think 70% of the players are in financial distress. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so this is something that's not just unique to boxing. It's like anything where it's a lot of money in sports, but then of course it's going to stop. After if you have a 10 or 15 year career, that's great, but then life goes on after that. So yeah, I'd love to see that conversation, and give people that information so they could join that Friday night podcast and join that movement. So before we close out, Dr. Holmes, did you have anything to say?
I think when I heard about that, because that was one of the questions I was going to ask, about boxing having some kind of support system set in, especially for retired boxers and stuff like football and some of these other sports. And I'm really glad to hear that y'all are looking for trying to build a union, and probably if you can get fight fans, you can get the fans involved. That might help too, if the fans can come involved and put pressure, like you say, on some of those big money boxers.
Yeah, they
get going. That's a great idea.
Hey Tim, I'll make this my last question.
No, it's okay, because I was trying to get one of the guys' numbers, and now with real quick, what they're doing, healthcare plan for boxing globally. I'm trying to get it to come up now. I don't know if you can see it.
No.
So he talked to the people. I know you can't see it.
No, I can't see it.
Yeah. But his name is we could talk.
All right, let me ask you this last question, and then if it comes up, you could give it to me now. If not, you could just text it to me or something, and I'll make sure I post it in the notes. Now, you mentioned earlier Eddie Mustafa, right? And years ago, I remember after he had retired, he had put together a union called JAB, and I saw him even talking about it on TV. Like this is I can't remember what the letter stood for. It was an acronym. I'm sure B stood for boxing, or joint something of boxing. And I guess that went away. Do you have any idea what happened to it, or had you even heard of it? And if you haven't heard of it, it probably didn't make a lot of noise.
I probably did, but when you're trying to make money, take care of the kids, and don't communicate as much,
right.
Just it dies down. I do think I remember Mustafa talking about that, because I was his sparring partner too.
Yeah, I saw him on TV talking about it. He was training somebody, and the commentators gave him a minute to talk during the match. He was like, "Jab, this is your union." He was passionate about it, but it died out probably because of, like you said, some of the De La Hoyas, the Mayweathers, that aren't as motivated to buy
because they got money.
They got money, so maybe that's why it wasn't supported. So I know we can go on about this all night, but brother Tim, terrible Tim, I like to call you terrible Tim. I just want to thank you for joining us, brother. And I do want.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have followers and people listening, or you just videotape it and post it?
We post it, and then we have a following. So when we post it, the people that follow our page know about it, and then we send it out. So a lot of people will get to see this. So if there's one last statement you want to make please go ahead.
Look, I'm glad to be on and you know to keep talking about, you know, the sport that I love, and thank you for having me on. But Talk Sports is the name of the other one. If you guys want to come on and get them to come on yours, get some of those guys to come on yours, they do it. But Friday night is called Talk Sports. I can talk to you. It'll be nice if you can get on, because there's people watching it. And then they'll ask questions most of the time.
Okay, what time do you do?
7 o'clock at night.
7 o'clock, Talk Sports. I'll be there, brother.
Well, all you gotta do is get in touch with me, and they would love to have you guys on. Doc, okay. You're gonna be on too, probably, if you have time.
I'll try.
Okay.
Lord, yes, papi. Hit me one time and make it funky.
I was brought up and told to have no fear.